Hi, welcome back. Right now we're going to start putting on some hatching, some casements, some of those detail things, and then throw on a couple of elevations on this. So this is our basic floor plan. Since I last left, I think I've only added the two lines here that represent the grade away from the house. They're just 10-foot long lines I made horizontal, and then I rotated them like 5-10 degrees down. Building code in your area is going to specify what that slope needs to be. In our area, it needs to be a 10% grade for the first 10 feet away from the house, and then should always maintain a negative slope from the house. In other words, it's always going away. So at least out to the edge of the property. So that's where we're at with it. And now I'm just going to throw up a few things here. First off, I'm going to put a casement around the windows and doors. To do that, I'm going to just simply come up here and go make current layer. And I'm going to select the door frame right here. So I get to my E-doors layer. Now, I like to just keep it relatively simple. I just use the offset command a lot. I'll go 1 inch and I'll go out 1 inch from that and put that one on. And then I'll just simply use my trim function to get rid of this line here, there, and there down at the bottom. So it just makes a wrap around my door. Now, a 1 inch casement actually isn't big enough. So I'm going to offset again. This time I'm going to go 2 inches like this from that new one I made out. And that just gives me my casement around my door. Now, if I want to, I can come in here and draw the lines to represent the miters from the corners. Do have to turn on my O-snaps to do that. You can also come in here and add other items, like if you wanted to put corbels on it or a header or something like that, you can absolutely add those, okay? I think I did add, since you looked, these columns on the porch because something's got to hold that roof up right there. That would cover this. It'd have to stick forward, so that's going to have something to hold it up. Now, let's do the windows. So make current. I'll go over here to my window layer here, and I'll say offset, and I'm going to go 1 inch again out here, and I'll do the same thing to this one. And then I'll enter and go 2 inches. So I get the same basic casement look around my windows and doors. Okay. That's all it really takes to do them. Now, this window over here on the left-hand side, I put as two single doubles, so it divides in the middle. To do that, I will probably want to come in here and draw in the divided section of it. And in all honesty, it's going to have basically it's going to have some framing in it. How did I mess that up? That one should have gone up there too. Oh well. But that's what it's going to look like. Basically, one's going to attach to the frame in the front, one's going to attach to the frame in the back. If you really want to get specific with it, you can come in here and go trim and go like this. And I'm going to keep the front one as the one that gets trimmed off. So there's my window. So now if I want to go and divide lights, I can literally make a divided light into it. I typically do a 3x3 when I do something like this, but to do that, I first have to make some construction lines first. I'm literally going to throw those up just like so, and then go divide, command I'm going to use, okay? And I'm going to divide this line right here into 3 chunks, and go line from here over, and from here over. And then I can erase this portion, and this line actually, and then I'm going to divide again, and this one into 3 as well. And go line from, say, the node here. Oh, it's hatching for some reason. Undo. Typed L. Must hit the fat H. But whatever. And then I'll go like so and delete that back out. And just go extend. Like so. And I've now got a divided light window. Now, if I want to get really detailed, I'll actually show the edges of the divided lights. But when you print this, it's going to just turn into one black line anyway. So I just do that, and then I literally copy. So I just quite literally go copy of these, and I pick like the midpoint here to the midpoint right here, because it should be the same size window. And if I did it right, it's going to be close enough that I can probably get away with copying it from the midpoint here to the midpoint right there, and I should be okay. So easy way to make a divided light window. This one is missing a few little items on it that I need to add in to make it so it looks right. Just a couple lines here and there. And quite often in Windows, you'll add a hatching piece. And I'll show you that in a second when I do the rest of the hatching on the house. All right. But doors are the same way. I just draw the look of the door. I draw the raised panels if I have it. I draw the outline of the window in it. I put the knob on it. And in all honesty, like quite literally, the knob on a door is just a circle for the most part. So it's literally a circle. It's like 2.5 inches in diameter. That's way too big. Let's try about 1.5. That looks a little better. Okay. Um, and then I put it on my house and I literally just say, okay, well, let's see where it's going to fit. It's going to be over, and honestly, most doorknobs are over about an inch and well, it's kind of 2 inches over, okay, for this, and they're 36 inches up from the floor. So that's about where it sits. If it's too close to this jamb here, I'll move it another inch or so, but that's where the doorknob's going to sit. Most probably, okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to actually specify the door unless you want to draw the actual door and then go look it up. A couple other things I haven't done on here. I have not put in the vent. Now I can have this ridge vented or not. If I want a vent here, I can draw it in as either the traditional rectangular vent or I can draw in like an oval or a octagonal, hexagonal vent, whatever works. Draw those up here and then I'm ready to go. So let's put some hatching work on this. Oh, I didn't put stairs on this. Do I need to? Probably I'm not going to do that just this moment. Okay, I see a line sticking out that I must not have trimmed earlier. Okay, so I'm actually going to come up here and I'm going to go in here to my construction lines. Okay, not my one construction, my E construction, sorry. And we're going to turn that layer on. So I've actually drawn one down here already. So I went around this and I drew in where the dirt's going to go, where the ground's going to be. And that's what I'll do for most of it. See, if I don't have a binding edge, I have to. Let me explain. Like, see, here's the floor. Okay. Well, notice how I've got solid lines to bind this in. When I go in to put a hatch on here, whether it's a brick hatch or a, honestly, siding, stucco, it doesn't actually matter. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do this on my construction layer because I can tweak it later. Hatch. Oh, I pick it. See how it kind of acts like a flood fill? It fills until it hits lines that are solid. So I pick one there and one there. That's all one hatch. Same with this if I put it over here. That means all that would be one hatch. Well, I don't want to hatch below the ground. I don't want to hatch my concrete. I might want to hatch that, but I'm not going to right now. But the trick is this. Look at my angles and my scales. So it's just doing a simple diagonal hatch, ANSI 31 is the specification. I can get in here and I can say, no, I want more of a brick hatch like that. And honestly, the angle is fine for right now, but I kind of want, say, something different. I want to increase the size of the block I'd use because that's pretty small brick. Okay. So let's say if I double it, okay, that's a little better sized, probably a little more accurate to what we'd get around here. But that's all it takes. I hatch it. I hit the go button. I just literally hit the close button right here, and it turns it into a hatch. I can tweak it over to the standard here, the concrete there. That's usually what I use for stucco. Um, Shakes for shingles. That's a little big for shake shingles. There's asphalt roof, brass, nickel, etc. You'll find out there's all kinds of them here. Um, you can pull that down and flip through it if you want. So, but for what we're looking at here, I actually don't want brick on this house because it's a starter home. I want it to be, I'm going to change the angle here to 45 degrees so it goes up and down. Remember, rotates around that axis. And I'm going to change that to be a 24. Okay. So what's happened is I'm trying to mess with my numbers here. So it looks like I've got a vertical siding. If I need to, I can get into that one. That looks a little better, but I'll probably have to up my stuff to 48. And that looks like a version of a batten board siding. Okay. So if that works for you, that's great. If it doesn't, tweak it. Honestly, I'm not really feeling that. So I'm going to change that back to a horizontal siding and set that back to a minus 45. I'm just go like that, and I've got horizontal siding. Once I hit the check mark here, I'm good. I'm done. Okay. Hatching's on that side of the house. Okay. So I've actually already done that with the earth down here. So I've already put the earth pattern in and then see my binder there. So when I turn off my construction layer here in a minute, it will not show up. So I'm going to change that siding. Okay. Home. I want to change that siding to be siding. Where's my siding? Right there. And so that way I can go make current this, and I'm going to turn off that E construction, and it just leaves it there. So it's what I can see. Now, window-wise, change my window stuff. Windows we used to, like when you sketch it, you actually just fill them in black with your pen or pencil. We used to always get in here and do this with them all. Copy. I just draw a line, do that, and then we copy 4 or 5 of those around the windows. Turn my mouse. We'll just copy this and go like this, and F8. I want that on right now. Just throw a few of them in the windows. Okay, all the windows if you want. And that way it just tells it, yeah, that's a window. Yeah, that one's got way too many. But you get the picture. So I just draw it in, add the hatching. Okay, that's all it really takes. So you get the house looking, and it's a rough, it's a representation. Now the important part is the dimensions on this. Now dimensions get interesting on this. We don't use a normal dimension tool. In normal dimensioning, I would go over here to my dimension tool, linear, and I would measure from like turn my O snap off, and I'd measure from here to there, and pull it out here, and drop it off, and then I'd go okay. Let's continue those. So let's go to annote, do a continue dimension, and come up here to wherever my finished floor is, and then to my top of my window or door, wherever that happens to be, and then to my ceiling line, which is where that is, and my drip edge there, and my peak right here. But we don't use normal linear dimensions for elevations. Okay, for the most part, we use datum dimensions or elevation dimensioning. So I actually have to go in here, go to my home, and I have to get in here to my eDims layer. Do I have an eDims layer? I didn't make one. I am such a communist today. So I'm going to pull this down. Oops, wrong button. There he is. And I'm going to go like this and go new, E-dimensions. Change it from cyan here to be, because I do all mine in red, which is color number 1. And I'm going to set that to current. And then I'm going to close this window back up. Okay. Close. Okay. And then all I do is this. I put a line right here at whatever I'm dimensioning. I'm going to start, and I'm going to lock that on like so. And then I'm going to make a text layer, DT for dtext, lock my cap locks here, and say that is my top. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. Starting point's right there. Yeah. Okay, text is going to read top foundation. Oops. Okay. Having a lovely day. And then the next line is going to read, which is how I want it to read. It's going to be minus, okay, because I'm actually going to reference the base, the floor elevation is the finished floor of the house to what it is. Or I can do it this way. I can tell it to be at 100 and then work my way down. So there's a couple of different ways to do this, but I'm going to go minus 1 foot, 2, and 1/8. Put a dash in there. Inches. I move these. I'm going to move them like right here in relationship to the end right there. That way it marks that dimension right there. Now, what I've done, let me turn on a layer here so you can see what I've got going on here. I've used the finished floor as my base. That's where all the dimensions are going to be taken from. Okay, because literally that's what's kind of important right now. Okay, as long as we know what we're controlling it from, we can do everything else. So there's my finished floor, or my top of my foundation. I can then go copy and copy this and move it where I need to, like to my finished elevation there, my top of my footing, top of my windows and doors right here. Okay, be that one, I believe, top. Now, that gets them all jungled back and forth across here. I hate that. Honestly, I really do. So what I do is I cheat a little bit when I do mine. Okay, I'm actually going to go like this and copy that one right there. I go, and first thing I do is I move, and I'm going to move all of them. Quite literally, I'm going to move every last one of my dimensions that I've got hooked to my house at the right places. I'm going to move them 6 inches away from the house. So I give a 6-inch gap. Now that comes out to about an 1/8 of an inch when I print this. Next thing I do is I'm going to put a marker on the end. So I make a circle that sits here on the end of these, and it's going to be right 6 inches in diameter. Okay, remove it off so you can see what I'm doing to it. I'm just going to pull it out here, and I'm going to divide that into its quadrants. It's just a marker, and we use a lot of different ones. This is just a data marker, and I'm just going to use a hatch. I'm going to hatch in that corner and that corner of it. I'm going to change the scale to be 1, and I'm actually going to change it to solid. Go close. And then I just go like this, move this from that end point to that end point. I can copy it, all the others. This just basically helps note where connections should be made. Okay, so yeah, you see ones that are going to run into each other really fast. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is this. I'm going to figure out how far out from the house I have to be to have clear sailing. So if I turn on my E construction layer right there, and I click on this because it's a polyline and make some maneuvers around it, I can actually do that and make it so that I don't have to rehatch that portion. But in doing so, it makes this the line I'm going to line everybody up on. So I'm going to literally go like this and draw a line straight up, and I'm going to bring all of my dimension text to it. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to move, say this, and I'm actually going to grab the text that's associated with it, which is this one. I'm going to move it up and just snap to the nearest point right here. Okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go copy this line right here at its own endpoint to that endpoint right there. And then just literally draw a diagonal midpoint here. And I'm going to go turn off that. I want 45 degrees down. So my F10. Okay. And then I just simply use the trim button to get rid of that and that. And the extra line work I've got here. Okay. That way everything reads clean right there. Okay. And then I can take this one and I'm going to move the text and the marker simply out to that. The same with this one. Text. Pardon me. And the marker and move them straight out to there. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing to this one. Text and marker. Straight out to that one right there, perpendicular. Okay. Same with the ones down here. Text and markers. Straight out. Text and marker there. Straight out. Okay. Now I just have to go EX to this and just pick all these lines I want to extend to it. And including that one. And then just erase that guy. That's the basis of my dimensions for my elevation. Now I will put a couple more on here. I'll put on a marker here that shows the pitch, and the pitch just looks like this. I just make a 12-inch line. And then in this case, it's going to be a 4-inch line. And I'll put the text next to it that says 12.4, which is my pitch for my roof. And that tells my roof pitch. And then I will use a leader tool and a text tool to label all of it. But that becomes later on in our stuff after we get past this basic house. But in all honesty, gentlemen and ladies, that's your elevation and your dimensions in a nutshell. It should come out looking something similar to this. Like I said, I clicked that wrong. Should have a 12 and a 4 out here. I can just move and put them basically right there and right there. To note the roof dimension, I will go in and say what I'm doing on with my roof here. I'll hatch in all of it, and I'm good to go. Basically, I've got an elevation. Now, that's not means I'm done. That means I've done it for this side. I have to do it for the other 3. Okay, side note. I project sideways when I do those. I literally project and draw my building sideways. There are some students that prefer to do this right here. If you click on the navigational bar, you can actually rotate it flat to you and project flat, and then rotate it back to normal. Okay, do not mess with the cube though. Okay, just a warning, because otherwise you could very likely end up drawing in third dimensions, and it just causes havoc for you. So those 2 rotational arrows right there are great to use if you so choose, but be careful not to mess up your other stuff. Okay. Well, Thank you, and we'll see you later.